I'll take quiet. All right. It looks like we're live on Facebook and YouTube. All right, I see a lot of you are already hopping on. Bear with me as I finish promoting this out. All right, if you are starting to hop on the broadcast with us, you should know the drill. Start commenting on here. Please give me a thumbs up so I can see who you are and get us started and give you that shout out. Terrific. So I already see on here with us Counselor Bowles, Wayne Anderson, and Peter Brissett. Thank you guys for hopping onto our broadcast and being the very first to come on here. I also see Counselor DeMont. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm just going to start pulling up these comments as I give some of the background that I generally do to start off our videos. I am Juliette Abdel. Good morning and happy Monday. Today is also International Women's Day, so happy International Women's Day to everyone. And just so you guys are aware, if you don't already know, the theme to this year is Choose to Challenge, and the idea is to challenge the normal structure that we're in our day-to-day environment. So great efforts today. I hope you are celebrating and showing support to the women in your lives that continue to enrich it. So before we get started, if you are a newcomer to our Facebook page, please make sure that you hit the like, hit the follow. If you are new on our YouTube channel, make sure that you hit the subscribe button. And if you are a returning viewer with us, thank you so much for continuing to come back for more of these broadcasts. I ask that you share this out to your network so they can also be updated of all the information and resources that we'll be sharing. I also see Counselor Scully has hopped on as well. And I'm just quickly going to go through these comments. Wayne Anderson has provided us a nice good morning message and a happy Monday. If you are viewing this video, then we would love to interact with you. There is a comment section that you can list any comments, compliments, or questions that you might have along the way. We'll pull them up and display them for you as such so that we can see your lovely face and be able to address that for you. Good morning to a Counselor Bowles, and of course to our current board chair, Peter Brissett, and Dave Carpenter. I see you hopping onto the broadcast. Now, if this is if you're unfamiliar, the video section here on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, Westminster Chamber of Commerce, is where you can find many of the videos that we've held since March of last year. So it's already been a year since we've been doing these live broadcasts. You can find these at any point in time to rewatch, rewind, and kind of indulge in the information that we share out to you. Make sure to also engage with us on all of our social media platforms. We are on Twitter and Instagram at Westy Chamber, and on LinkedIn, Westminster Chamber of Commerce. And thank you so much, Counselor Scully, for also giving a nice congratulatory note or really an excitement note for today's celebration of International Women's Day. Appreciate you and everything that you're doing. So with that, Mayor, I know that I always hog up a few minutes of your broadcast, and I think I've tried to keep it as succinct as possible today. I want to turn it over to you to share any updates that you might have on your radar with us. I know you get us kicked off and started for the week, so no pressure on you, but I'm looking for some great stuff.
Well, good morning, everyone. Let's try to touch on our COVID stations right now. Adams and Jefferson County, for the most part, we're sort of plateaued right now. If you go back to the 7th and the 8th being today in Adams County, we went up a few points, but our positivity rate stayed the same. In Jefferson County, we went up 1 point, and our positivity rate went down 1/10 of a point. We're maintaining pretty well, 120 in Adams County, 106 in Jefferson County. So our numbers are not fluctuating a lot, but we are seeing that they're not going down again. They've hit a plateau. We're still in the number wise, we're still both in yellow, but the county has not, Jefferson County has not yet lost its blue category, but they did receive about a week ago a notice that they're on the verge of being updated back to yellow if they don't get their numbers down. And unfortunately, those numbers have not gone down in Jeffco. They've stayed about the 105, 106 area. So we're hoping that we'll start to see, with some warm weather, a little bit more testing going on, that our numbers are starting to fluctuate a little bit toward the better side. Last week, we spent a lot of time talking about a Senate Bill 62. I appreciate the chamber very much taking the opposed position that they did. Unfortunately, after 5 or 6 hours worth of hearing last Thursday, only about 2 amendments were offered, and that was by the bill sponsor himself. None of the other amendments that were offered to try to fix the bill, with comments coming from the Colorado Municipal League or the police information from their organizations, were accepted. That bill did pass out of the committee hearing on a 3-2 vote. It went to appropriations in the Senate and should hear some activity out of that probably later this week. I expect within the next few days, it will probably move its way over to the House. We are continuing, and we will continue to ask you as individuals and as a group to talk to your representatives in the House. This is bad legislation. Unfortunately, right now, it looks like it's going to go through. This will have a dramatic impact on our police force as well as law enforcement overall. We did have a meeting with one of our local groups. Juliet was part of the meeting on Thursday night. People concerned about the crime rate that's going up. And it's very true. It is going up, but it's not going up in just Westminster. It's across the metro area and across the state and across the nation overall. Unfortunately, we saw a very unhappy event Saturday night in Boulder with a mass group of people getting together. Some of it's being laid at the doorsteps of the governor, having extended the mask order for another 30 days, but I think that had very little to do with it personally. But over 800 people were out of control in the Hill area with fireworks, bottles being thrown, cars turned over. And then you have to go back to Highway 225 in Denver, an incident that took place over the weekend. It's kind of like people setting up a rolling barricade of 4 or 5 cars across the roadway. And then 2 of the centerpieces took out drag racing down 225. We understand that there was shots fired at people that were involved in a racing episode and blocking by other patrons. This is another deal where people are just getting out of control, and too many people are carrying firearms around that lose continuity of when they're supposed to use them, when they're not supposed to use them. This is not meant to be that you shouldn't be allowed to protect, but when you start shooting at people because they're breaking the law and it's fleeing vehicles that you're shooting at, you don't know where those shots are going to end up. So unfortunately, I don't have a lot of the details yet on what happened. We're waiting for more information to come in on that. Tonight, Catherine Scully is back on the hook again to make sure that we get out before midnight. This is a council night tonight. Not a large agenda, no post-meeting items, no executive sessions tonight. So Catherine has a good chance of making sure we get out by midnight. We did have Parker Brown and I met with a group representing Westminster last Friday, and this is our Triple Crown group. Typically, this is what's called the Sparklers Tournament. They were not able to hold their tournaments in 2020. They are scheduled to be back here just at the end of June, into the first part of July. Right now, they are hoping to be able to hold a normal event, about 800 teams coming in to the metro area. Finals would be played at the Christopher Field here in Westminster, again being on broadcast live from there. About 300 coaches coming in, as well as college scouts, a couple of hundred of those. So we're looking at some opportunity to get that group back in town, hopefully. And I know if the businesses are on, again, that's a huge influx coming in from the amount of money that will be spent in Westminster. Hotels are booked up already. Through all the ones in the Westminster area have been met their max on what the group is able to book in advance. Hopefully with the Origin Hotel will be coming online. We know that they're already meeting with them to see that they're going to be available to provide rooms for them. So a little bit of a return to normal. We're hoping that everything will hold out for us and that, yeah, Dave DeMont just put in some of the contacts for you in our house. And Shannon, I know that there was a lot of contact with our Senate representatives. However, that committee, as I indicated, the Judiciary Committee did pass it out. This is going to continue to be an item that we'll follow very closely. In the packet that the council received this morning, there's a number of bills. I haven't had a chance to go through those that will be discussed as a part of our legislative update tonight. We'll pick up on that so that you can see some of the things that the city in particular has followed or will be following. We want to make sure that the issue is right now, as of close of business last past Friday, 380 bills have been introduced. They're on a record rate of bills coming in, and expecting to see a new number of bills being introduced between the House and the Senate this year, and we'll see how they are. So there's a lot of things to be coming forward, a lot of activity that will happen, and again, a concern from me personally, too many bills doesn't necessarily mean that we're getting good legislation, but too many things can go through very quickly. So keep an eye from the legislative standpoint. I know your government affairs group does a good job of watching that. We encourage you to continue to watch that as things go happen. COVID numbers we talked about, businesses, we are continuing to see opportunities. We expect that within the next week or two, we'll see at least 2 restaurants opening, hopefully by the end of the month here in Westminster, one at the new Origin Hotel and the other one at the old business located on Sheridan and 94th, which would become the new Hook and Reel. We did see some new activity this week that the outdoor signs for the restaurant have been turned on, so we're expecting to see more there. As a little bit of the business that the council was doing, we spent this past Saturday doing video screenings with a number of the applicants for the municipal judge. We still have more of those to do in the coming weeks. And then again, this coming weekend, Saturday and Sunday, the council will be in session at the strategic planning. Those sessions will be live streamed and open to the public to listen into and view. And we will be doing those meetings in person along with a very limited number of staff. It'll be primarily the council, and some 2 members of staff will be in the meetings in person. So again, not a heavy activity tonight. A lot of things are still being decided and going on. Our focus right now is really to watch the legislature, watch our COVID numbers, continue to work to try to get our businesses back open. And we do expect that probably this week we'll see the final signatures going on the stimulus package. And indications were that this morning, and some of the news reports going out, that some of the people could this coming weekend start to receive stimulus checks. It could be that early. But we're still talking about $1,400 an individual. They did make some changes in the Senate. I believe the House will approve those changes based upon comments we've seen so far. So those who are in need, stimulus packages coming to unemployed to help continue some people survive. Unemployment looks like about $300 a week is the way the package sets up now. Continued moratorium on evictions, both on a national level, and a continued conversation around it. I don't know where this is going to end up in dealing with school loans, your school finance loans, as to whether some of that will be forgiven or not. I think that's still a focus of inquiry from both sides. But other than that, Ms. Juliet, I know that this was a short brief, a little bit of information, but for right now, we would like to see a somewhat calm week between our state legislators, our nationals, and people being able to get back to work. So I'll turn it back to you for any questions. And I've been watching the comment section and haven't seen anything particular yet.
Yeah, you haven't ruffled any feathers today. This is shocking. We usually have a couple of comments or questions. So, for those of you that are hopping on here, we have Mayor Atchison with us. He has provided us some quick updates as it relates to COVID numbers. We're seeing a plateau on both Adams and Jeffco. He's also shared that Jeffco is still in the blue, but has received kind of a warning because those numbers had gone a slow amount up since the last time that they had received that change in the dial. We also went in detail about Senate Bill that related to a lot of the police officers or safety officers' ability to really, I think it's labeled as a jail limitation or reduction in jail population. Right. We discussed that last week for you all. We provided an update right now, being that last Thursday was when they had their committee meeting. It did pass out of committee 3-2. Know that the City of Westminster City Council did take that position of opposed, and I believe the mayor and several folks were out there. The chamber went ahead and also took that position. Where we can work in tandem and support one another, we will do our best to, and supporting the overall community. So thank you to our Government Affairs Committee. Anyone that's on here that is affiliated with us and wants to get involved with our Government Affairs Committee, we have monthly meetings, and we do have one tomorrow morning. So give us a quick DM on this page and I can add you in there. And if you're interested in learning more about the 380 plus bills that as of last Friday were filed, like the mayor has indicated, we actually will have with us Legislative Affairs Director for Adams County, Adam Berg, with us on Wednesday at 11. So he will kind of give us a deep dive before we bring the mayor back on Monday. The mayor also went in detail on some other items with some of the upcoming restaurant openings at the Origin Hotel, the Hook and Reel. There's also Buffalo Wild Wings on 73rd and Federal. They are opening their official open days on the 17th of this month. So if you guys are interested in knowing kind of what's coming up and what to support that's new and rising in our community, we encourage you to kind of stay tuned to as those openings come out so you can support them in doing their part. Great news on the sparklers. They're always fantastic to have in our community, and not only staying in our hotels, but supporting some of those local businesses that are in the area. We did share that there is a light city council agenda. It looks like you all are continuing to look at businesses opening back up, following legislation, COVID numbers, and then obviously monitoring some federal things like the moratorium on evictions, potential forgiveness of student loans. And I believe that's it in a nutshell. So if you have just heard the summary that I've just given of the mayor's talk this morning and you have any comments or questions, now is the time for you to be adding it into the comment section. I know he also shared with us some of the community updates last Thursday with the local community and how they're feeling around safety, and of course the situation that's in Boulder. So it's an interesting time, to say the least, not trying to freak anyone out, but when you combine safety or the lack thereof that some people are feeling, and then inability to be able to protect themselves, it creates a not the most conducive environment. So, Mayor, do we have anything as it relates to our testing sites? Have those started spiking back up? I know we were trying to encourage people, if they're feeling unwell or if they have rehired people, to kind of go back there. As of last week, I believe you had mentioned that they were a lot lower than what they can actually handle on a day-to-day basis.
From my understanding, Julia, as far as with the one up by Fat Cats, that one has a capacity of 1,000 a day, and we're still running about 100 a day. Plenty of opportunity to go up there. I did forget to mention one thing. One of our local businesses is the Alamo Draft House, as you understand. There was a lot of activity in the paper recently. The foreclosure has to do with those who have leased facilities. The Alamo Draft House in Westminster is not a leased facility. They own the property. So we are still talking to them. I contacted the ownership late last week. They are looking at toward the end of May, early part of June as a reopening. But again, it's got to be the point where you can say we can open for business. Now, part of what drives Alamo is new movie releases and a lot of repetitional retro type stuff. So anyway, they are still looking at, like I said, May, June timeframe. They'll start doing a lot of rehiring in the first part of May, is my indication, because they've laid off a lot of people during the COVID, because you think they've been closed for almost a year now. And we still plan to be back in session on the first council meeting in April and live, but that will be very restricted. It will be a couple of staff members as well as the city council, but we will be back in session. That will be phase one. We'll see how the COVID numbers and how it goes with that. So we'll hopefully be able to get some better idea of how things are going to work by the end of April.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that update as it related to Alamo. I know several people over this last few days have kind of shared the information around that. So it's great to hear that our location that's here in the downtown is still planning on reopening in the May to June time period. And we'll be happy to kind of support them with that whenever they open back up. You also mentioned that April, so council will be back in the chambers. That's what I had written in, but it will be limited. So, or will people be tuning in virtually as they have been doing right now?
Absolutely. No change there. Everything will be just as it is for the public today. They still have email available. They have phone in. They can phone in and record. They'll be able to watch it. Those things are not changing, but it's just going to be, it's a slow piece of getting the city hall reopened. Our security groups have told us that because they hadn't been holding anything for the city for a year, it would take them at least 30 days to get people rehired and trained.
Oh, wow.
The other thing that Peter brought up was now, and Peter, we did not get anything back out of the health CDPHE that toward the end of the last week. We were hoping to have heard something, but we haven't on COVID Dial 3.0. Mm-hmm. We think that there may be more discussion and some potential releases later this week. Most of that, my opinion, is going to be defining more who's in what category. Mm-hmm. Keep in mind, last Friday, 1B3 opened back up, so that opens up about another 1 million people eligible for vaccines. People who have, I think it was the 55 to 60 group, mm-hmm. with 2 or more incidents of health issues could go in, and then all the 65 and up to 70 were also in. So we're starting to see more come. As I recall, we had 500 doses of the new Johnson & Johnson that were received by the state last week. All of those went to one site in southern Jefferson County for use down there. We are not anticipating, based on what we had from the state last week, that there will be any Johnson & Johnson vaccines available this week, but we should start to see some starting the following week. But this week was not expected to see any of those arrive. It's still primarily Pfizer and Moderna. We know that there's a number of activities where new vaccine slides, the pop-up ones, are still happening. Mm-hmm. We are still looking at the 15th of this month for the large mega site at Dick's Sporting Goods to open up in Adams County. We've had some discussion on Thursday with the Jefferson County Health Department and all the mayors that attend that. Still looking at the potential of a mass vaccine site in Jefferson County that would be open more on the north end. Mm-hmm. And potentially don't know yet who that health sponsor might be. We also are continuing to watch the old SEL hospital site, right, for a cobalt rehab. They're going through their renovations and building inspections. We still are looking for them to open up in May. Was the last word I heard last week. Other than that, we're trying to keep our heads above water, keep doing what we can to keep our people safe and secure. As more people get vaccinated, and again, as part of the ruse that we heard about the incident in Boulder was because the governor did extend the mask wearing another 30 days. Again, as I had indicated before in the conversations that we've had with CDPHE and our local health providers, again, the mask will be the last thing to go away. It's just proven too critical to keeping people healthy. We still have a long way to go to get people vaccinated. We still have people in 1A and 1B that have not received vaccines yet for various reasons. So the more people we get, I know I indicated last week Jefferson County did reach their goal of 70% of those 70 and above. Let's get it to 100 of those who want it. And Adams County will be following along, we hope. So for now, right now, Juliet, we don't have a lot of new stuff, a lot of repetition on COVID numbers. Businesses continue to support all of our small businesses in the Westminster area, trying to get them back open, get people back on employment. And hopefully now that healthcare workers are in that group that can also get expanded, as well as our restaurant workers, people who are in the food service industry. We're in the 1B3 slots, so we'll hopefully see more of them being able to get vaccines and make them feel more comfortable about where they're working.
Absolutely. And Mayor, just for peace of mind for people that are wondering about the decision to go back into the chambers and everything, I mean, are you all socially distanced in there? Are you using a combination of having masks on, or how are you handling that dynamic at City Hall?
Well, at City Hall, it's still under the mask order. We were required to wear a mask just as in compliance with all the city, county, and state health orders. We have partitions between each member of council. We've also had the dais expanded so that only the council will be at the dais. The staff will not be at the dais with us, which gave us the ability to get that 6-foot distancing between people. Everything we're doing, including to the point of we will be bringing in our own computers so that we're not using city staff stuff, just as we will be this coming weekend. All the council members will bring their laptops so we can keep the social distancing, the mask requirements. We're doing everything we can to do our part. We ask the citizens to do the same.
Yes, thank you so much for that. I figured you all had a plan that was in place. I just always like to share it with people because sometimes they don't understand the exact depth that we've got into to try and go back to some type of normal, but still being mindful and conscious of the health implication that's out there. So I do appreciate you giving me those details for me to type in. I know this was a shorter broadcast. So for those of you that did hop on, whether it was later on, Christina and several others that I have seen come on to the broadcast with us and join us. This video will be available to you at any point in time to rewind and rewatch. And of course, if you had any comments or questions that you did not get a chance to ask us, you can always comment it on the video, DM the page. If you are interested in details about the Government Affairs Committee or some of these newer businesses that are opening back up, and of course, if you're wanting to come out to support any of those grand openings, let us know so that we can also keep you informed and engaged on all of that information as well. We will be back here on another live broadcast later in the week. So my ask to you right now is to stay vigilant, stay informed, do your part so we can continue to open our businesses back up. Of course, advocate where you can on this bill if you are seeing it from the perspective that we are, or if you have any questions, let us know and we're happy to get that information to you. Make sure that you share this message out to others, and if you watch this later on, give us that hashtag replay so we know that you tuned in. And Mayor, with that, and for everybody else that's tuned in, you guys have about 2.5 minutes left to your morning since I didn't go the full 30 minutes. So thank you so much, Mayor.
See you later.